The small spacecraft descended slowly through the atmosphere of the forgotten planet. Below them, jagged crystalline formations glimmered like a sea of broken stars. The human research team aboard the Aurora pressed their faces to the viewport, awe and tension mixing in equal measure. Captain Elias Kane, the mission leader, was already imagining the headlines. Humanity discovers relic of lost civilization. "Keep your focus, Captain," said Lieutenant Mara Quinn, her voice tight. "We don't know what's waiting for us down there." Elias only smiled, brushing a strand of dark hair from his forehead. "That's why we came here, Lieutenant. To see the unknown. To touch it, if we dare." The landing was rough. The shuttle trembled as it struck the uneven surface, but its reinforced hull held firm. The planet's gravity was slightly stronger than Earth's, and the team felt every step heavier as they climbed out. The landscape was surreal. Towering crystalline spires reflected the dim light of the distant sun, creating an ethereal glow across the jagged terrain. Strange, iridescent mist clung to the ground, curling around rocks and climbing vines of crystalline matter. Elias moved cautiously, scanning for hazards. "Careful," warned Mara. "We have no idea what this atmosphere might do to us over time." Elias nodded but did not slow. Something in the distance drew his attention, a subtle pulse of light, almost rhythmic, emanating from the largest spire. At its base lay an object, half buried in the crystalline soil, unlike anything Elias had seen before. Its surface shimmered with shifting patterns, like liquid metal frozen mid-motion. Xyrith emerged from the shadows between two tall spires. She was tall and slender, her pale blue skin catching the light in soft hues. Her eyes, dark and penetrating, focused on Elias with intensity. She had waited for decades on this planet, guarding the relic from unworthy hands. "You should not touch it," she said, her voice echoing slightly in the open air. "It is not meant for your kind." Elias froze. "And what exactly does that mean?" "It's just an object, a piece of history." Xyrith's gaze hardened. "It is more than history. It is power, consciousness, and judgment all in one. Those who touch it may not survive, or worse, may unleash forces they cannot control." Mara whispered, "Captain, maybe we should listen." But Elias's curiosity was a flame that refused to be dampened. "We've traveled light years to find something like this. I can't just stand here." He stepped closer to the relic, ignoring Xyrith's warning. "I need to see it up close. I need to understand it." Xyrith reached out, a thin hand trembling slightly with tension. "Do not," she said, her voice rising. "You cannot comprehend what you are about to do." Elias hesitated for only a heartbeat before brushing his fingers against the relic's smooth surface. The instant contact was made, a pulse of energy shot up his arm. His vision blurred, and he staggered backward, clutching his chest as a strange warmth spread through his body. The relic glowed brightly, casting shifting shadows across the spires. Elias's mind was suddenly flooded with images, cities of impossible architecture, beings of light and energy, wars that spanned galaxies, and the slow collapse of entire civilizations. He fell to his knees, gasping for breath. Mara ran to him. "Captain, what's happening?" I don't know," Elias whispered, his eyes wide. "I can see everything. So many worlds, so much life, and so much death." Xyrith knelt beside him, placing her hand lightly on his shoulder. "It has bonded with you," she said softly, almost in disbelief. "I feared this day. You are now linked to it. Your mind, your body, your choices will be influenced by it." Elias tried to speak, but the images continued to flash in his mind. He saw beings reaching out to one another across the void, entire planets collapsing into darkness, and strange mechanical constructs wandering abandoned cities. His thoughts swirled uncontrollably. Mara gripped his arm. "Captain, focus. Listen to me. We'll get you through this." Elias forced himself to take a deep breath. Slowly, the light in his mind began to dim, but not entirely. He could still sense the relic's presence, a living awareness connected to his own. Xyrith's warning echoed in his ears. Not meant for your kind. What? What is it? Elias asked, voice shaking. Xyrith's face was grim. It is a sentinel, a remnant of a civilization that no longer exists. It judges those who encounter it. Its creators feared destruction and sought to pass wisdom and responsibility to those worthy. But it tests all who touch it. Many fail. Elias tried to stand, shaking off the lingering dizziness. So it tests me now? Yes, Xyrith said quietly, and failure could be catastrophic, not just for you, but for anyone near you. It is alive, and it is patient. It will wait, observe, and challenge until it deems you fit or unworthy. The wind howled around them as the crystalline spires shimmered in response to Elias's presence. The relic's pulse slowed, syncing faintly with his heartbeat. Elias could feel a strange clarity beneath the chaos, a sharp awareness, a new perception of the world around him. Captain, Mara said cautiously, what if it doesn't stop? What if it overwhelms you completely? Elias swallowed hard. Then I'll have to survive it. Humans, we don't give up, Mara. We adapt. We fight. We learn. That's what makes us strong. Xyrith watched him closely, sensing something she had not expected. Humans were reckless, yes, but there was a spark within them, a drive to endure, to rise even from danger. Perhaps, she thought, the relic might see that too. The team spent the next hour examining the area, careful not to touch the relic again. Elias remained close, feeling the subtle connection like an unsteady pulse. The planet itself seemed alive, responding to the relic's energy, its crystals resonating faint vibrations. Even Mara could not deny the beauty and danger of the place. As night fell, the sky turned a deep violet, streaked with the light of distant stars. Elias looked at the relic, the glow reflecting in his eyes. I can feel it, he whispered. It's speaking to me in a way. Not words, more like ideas, possibilities. It's showing me everything. Xyrith nodded slowly. It will test you. Do not let pride or fear control you. Your choices will determine what comes next, not just for you, but for all of humanity. Elias clenched his fists. Then I'll be ready. I have to be. The wind shifted, and the crystals glowed brighter, almost as if acknowledging his resolve. Somewhere deep within the relic, a consciousness stirred, watching, waiting, and judging. The human had touched the relic as warned, and now the sentinel had chosen him as its trial. The night stretched long over the crystalline landscape, but Elias's mind did not rest. Visions continued to flicker in his thoughts, images of stars and civilizations, of failure and hope, of endings and beginnings. He felt the weight of knowledge pressing on him, and yet, buried beneath it, a strange thrill. Humanity had always reached for the unknown, and now they had reached it, and it had reached back. The first morning on the planet arrived quietly, the violet sky gradually brightening as the twin suns rose, casting long shadows across the crystalline landscape. Elias Kane stood near the relic, still feeling its subtle hum through his skin, as if it had become a part of him. He rubbed his eyes, trying to shake the lingering dreams of distant galaxies and civilizations. They were not nightmares, but memories that were not his own, or perhaps warnings of futures that might come to pass. Captain, you slept well? Mara asked, her tone light, though her eyes betrayed concern. She had watched him throughout the night, unable to leave his side, fearing what the relic might do next. Elias shook his head. Sleep is different when your mind is no longer entirely your own. he said, still sensing the pulse of the relic beneath his skin. It's like it's speaking in thoughts rather than words, but I don't fully understand what it's trying to tell me. Zyreth approached slowly, her usual calm now tinged with unease. The relic does not speak in human language. It communicates through perception, through feeling, through experience. You will learn. If you survive the trials it will present. I'm ready, Elias said, a hint of stubborn pride in his voice. I have to be. Humans don't back down when faced with the unknown. Zyreth studied him for a long moment. Perhaps that is why it chose you, she said quietly. It has not tested a human before in this way. Your species is unpredictable, dangerous but also capable of unique resilience. Elias glanced back at the relic. Its surface shimmered in the sunlight, colors shifting in patterns that defied logic. He felt the pull of its energy again, a subtle tug in his mind that seemed to invite him closer. Tentatively, he reached out and let his fingers hover above its surface. The moment he touched it, a surge of information coursed through him, almost overwhelming in its intensity. He saw planets teeming with life, alien cities that twisted and spiraled impossibly, and machines that moved as if they had consciousness of their own. He felt emotions that were not his own, fear, hope, joy, grief, all mingling together into a torrent he could barely comprehend. He staggered back, breathless. Zyreth caught him by the arm. "Do not force it," she warned. "The relic will show you what it wants you to see. You cannot demand its secrets. It is not a tool. It is a teacher, a guardian, and a test all in one." Elias nodded, swallowing hard. "I understand," he said, though he knew understanding was only the beginning. He could feel the relic responding to him. As if it sensed his determination and curiosity, it pulsed softly, matching the rhythm of his heartbeat, a connection that grew stronger with every passing moment. Over the next several hours, Elias began to notice subtle changes. His senses sharpened. He could see the faint energy lines running through the crystals, feel the vibrations of the planet beneath his feet, and even detect faint signals from distant stars. Mara watched him closely, unsure whether to be impressed or terrified. "You're different," she said finally. "It's like the relic has changed you." Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe it has, or maybe it's showing me what humans are capable of. I can feel things now. Things I never imagined." Zyreth approached again, her expression thoughtful. "The relic is not finished with you. Its purpose is to test. You will face challenges that are not physical but mental, emotional, and moral. It will probe the depths of your character. If you fail, it could destroy you." Elias nodded, a sense of resolve settling over him. "Then I won't fail. I can't." As the day wore on, the energy around the relic began to stir more intensely. Strange symbols formed in the air, glowing faintly before fading. Elias watched them carefully, realizing that they were not random. They were messages, or perhaps lessons, from a civilization long extinct. Each symbol evoked a memory, a story, a moment of triumph or despair. Mara and Zyreth observed him silently. They had traveled together for years, but never had they seen a human interact with alien technology in this way. Elias's ability to adapt, to think creatively and intuitively, amazed them both. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A low, resonant hum filled the air, echoing through the crystalline formations. Elias's heart raced as the symbols in the air intensified, swirling faster and brighter. He felt a tug in his mind, pulling him toward a vision that he could not resist. He found himself standing in a vast city of light, streets lined with structures that seemed alive, pulsing with energy. Beings moved gracefully among the buildings, their forms shifting constantly, as if they were made of pure light and thought. Elias understood without being told, that he was witnessing the world of the Relic's creators. The beings did not speak as humans did, yet their thoughts and emotions were clear to him. They were scientists, explorers, and guardians, striving to preserve knowledge and life across the universe. And yet, there was fear in their hearts. Fear of annihilation. Fear that their work would be lost. Fear that no one would be worthy to inherit their legacy. Elias reached out as if he could touch them, and a voice echoed in his mind. "Why have you come? Why do you seek what you cannot yet understand?" He answered without speaking. "To learn, to survive, to carry forward what you left behind." The beings seemed to study him, their attention intense. He felt their judgment, their hope, and their expectation pressing down on him all at once. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the vision ended. He was back on the planet, standing before the relic, his heart pounding. Xyrith was beside him, her eyes wide with awe. "You saw them," she said softly. "You witnessed their world. Few have ever been granted that insight." Elias nodded, still catching his breath. "I saw everything, and I understand a little more. This relic, it's not just a test. It's a gift, if you can survive it." Before anyone could respond, a sharp signal pinged from the ship's sensors. Mara looked at the readout in alarm. "Captain, you need to see this. Something is approaching fast, and it's not a friendly ship." Elias turned, a sense of dread washing over him. On the horizon, a fleet of sleek, dark vessels appeared, moving with precision and speed. Their insignia was unfamiliar, but their intent was clear. They were coming for the relic. Xyrith's expression darkened. "The Varric," she said grimly. "They have been hunting relics like this for centuries. They will not hesitate to destroy anything or anyone in their way." Elias clenched his fists, feeling the relic pulse in response to his determination. "Then we won't let them take it. We have to protect it, and ourselves." The Varric fleet closed rapidly, their weapons glowing ominously. The humans scrambled to the shuttle, readying defensive systems. Elias felt a strange calm settle over him. The relic was still connected, still guiding him in ways he could barely comprehend. He could feel energy lines in the air, pathways that would allow him to outmaneuver the enemy. Xyrith placed a hand on his shoulder. "Do not underestimate them," she warned. "They are ruthless, and they have faced civilizations far older and wiser than yours. But perhaps your unpredictability is your greatest weapon." Elias nodded, determination burning in his eyes. "Then we'll be unpredictable." As the first Varric ship broke the horizon, the relic pulsed brightly, almost as if acknowledging the challenge. Elias stepped forward, ready to face the threat, relying on instincts and knowledge far beyond what he had possessed before. The battle was about to begin, but this was only the first trial. The relic had chosen him, and now it was showing him the vast possibilities of what humanity could achieve. With courage, intellect, and the spark that made humans unique, Elias was ready to prove that even in the face of unimaginable power, humanity could endure and rise. The planet itself seemed to hold its breath as the humans and the Varric prepared to clash, and the relic's light shimmered, a silent witness to the beginning of a trial that would test everything Elias Kane believed about himself, humanity, and the universe. The battle had not yet begun, but the tension was palpable. Elias Kane stood near the relic, feeling the pulsing energy beneath his skin. The twin suns of the planet cast long shadows across the crystalline landscape, and the approaching Varric fleet reflected in the polished spires like dark storm clouds. Mara and Xyrith worked quickly, scanning the sensors, calculating trajectories, and preparing defensive systems. Elias, however, felt the relic's presence guiding him, offering subtle nudges that his mind barely understood. Suddenly, the world around him shifted. One moment he was on the planet, and the next, he found himself in a vast chamber filled with light and shadow. The crystalline city of the Relic's creators surrounded him once more. Unlike the first vision, this place felt real, tactile, and immediate. Elias could feel the smooth floors beneath his feet and hear the hum of energy flowing through the structures. The beings of light were there again, watching him with unwavering focus. "You are here to be tested," a voice echoed in his mind, not spoken but understood. "Every choice will be observed, every instinct weighed. Fail, and you risk all you hold dear. Succeed, and you may become a guide for others." Elias took a deep breath, steadying himself. He had survived the initial bond, learned to sense the relic, and even felt its guidance during the approach of the Varric. But this was different. This trial was personal, designed to probe his mind and character. The first test came swiftly. Before him appeared a series of doors, each glowing with a different color. A message formed in his mind. Choose wisely. Your path determines not only your survival, but your understanding of what it means to wield knowledge. Elias hesitated, his instincts pulling him in multiple directions. Mara's voice echoed faintly in his memory. Humans adapt. Humans endure. He forced himself to focus, closing his eyes and letting the relic's subtle guidance flow through him. The green door pulsed slightly, and he chose it. He was immediately transported into a simulation of his own life, yet distorted. He saw Earth under attack, cities crumbling under fire, and humanity struggling to survive. Panic and despair filled the scenes, yet he could feel the relic nudging him toward calm, toward solutions that relied on ingenuity rather than brute force. Elias realized that the first trial was about perspective. The relic was testing his ability to see beyond fear, to act with intelligence and creativity instead of reacting blindly. He guided the simulations of human settlements through energy rerouting, evacuation protocols, and strategic defense measures. Slowly, the destruction halted. Humans survived, thriving despite the odds. When the vision ended, he returned to the crystalline city. The beings of light observed silently. Elias understood that the trial was not over. Each success revealed another layer, another challenge, more complex and intricate than the last. The next test struck deeper. He was shown visions of morality, of choices between saving a few versus saving many. Entire civilizations appeared on the brink of collapse, their fates resting on his decisions. In some visions, he could hear the pleas of the innocent. In others, the cold logic of efficiency. Every choice felt unbearable, but Elias relied on a simple principle he had learned from humanity: empathy tempered with reason. He made decisions that preserved life where he could, sacrificing resources and opportunities when necessary, understanding that true strength was measured not in power, but in the protection of others. Each choice left him physically drained, yet he felt a quiet satisfaction as the relic's energy responded positively to his resolve. Suddenly, a sharp surge of energy hit him. The vision shifted violently, throwing him into a trial unlike the others. He was faced with a mirror image of himself, one that was ruthless, calculating, willing to sacrifice anything for survival or gain. The doppelganger laughed, mocking his hesitation, his morality. "You are weak," the voice in his mind hissed. "You will fail. Humanity is fragile. You cannot endure the universe's tests." Elias felt the relic's energy react violently to the mirror image. It pulsed through him, painful yet invigorating. He realized that the challenge was not external. It was internal. The relic tested his integrity, his ability to resist corruption, to remain human even when faced with immense power. He focused, drawing on everything he had learned, not only from the visions but from his life. He remembered the countless moments of human perseverance. scientists who solved impossible problems, explorers who ventured into the unknown, ordinary people who protected others at great personal cost. Strength came from these choices, not from domination. He confronted the mirror image with unwavering resolve. I may be human, but that is my strength. I endure, I learn, I rise. I will not become what you are. The reflection dissolved into light, leaving Elias standing alone. A deep calm settled over him, the relic's pulse now steady and warm. He had passed the hardest internal trial yet. Before he could rest, a new vision appeared, one that terrified him more than any other. He was shown the Varic fleet descending upon the planet, their weapons ready, intent on taking the relic by force. The lives of his team, the planet, and the relic itself were all at stake. The relic pulsed urgently, conveying the weight of immediate action. Elias's mind raced. He had new abilities now, heightened perception and intuition, but he could not fight alone. He thought of Mara, Xyreth, and even the fragile humans scattered across the planet. Humanity had always relied on teamwork, on creativity, on the ability to adapt to impossible situations. He would need all of that and more. The vision shifted again, showing potential strategies, energy flows, and weaknesses in the Varic formation. Elias realized that the relic had provided the tools, but not the solutions. He had to think, improvise, and act with the ingenuity that made humans capable of the impossible. When the vision ended, he was back on the planet, with Mara and Xyreth at his side. The Varic ships were closer, their engines sending vibrations through the ground. Elias could feel the relic's energy resonating with his own heartbeat, a subtle hum guiding his decisions. "Captain," Xyreth said, her voice steady, "the relic has prepared you. Use what it has shown you. Your mind, your choices, your humanity, these are your weapons." Elias nodded. "Then let's show them what humans can do." The Varic fleet opened fire, beams of energy slicing through the air toward the crystalline spires. Elias acted instinctively, his movements enhanced by the relic's guidance. He redirected energy flows through the crystals, creating barriers and deflecting the attacks. The terrain itself became a tool, as he guided Mara and the rest of the team to positions that maximized their defenses while minimizing risk. The battle raged, but Elias's creativity and adaptability turned the tide. He anticipated the Varic maneuvers, exploiting weaknesses that no one else could see. Each successful defense reinforced his confidence, while the relic continued to pulse in response to his choices, offering subtle hints and insights. Amidst the chaos, Elias realized something profound. The relic did not simply grant power, it amplified what was already there. Humanity's greatest strengths, ingenuity, courage, and the ability to learn from mistakes, were now tools he could wield on a scale he had never imagined. Hours passed like minutes, and eventually, the Varic began to retreat, realizing that their attack would fail. Elias stood among the crystalline spires, breathing heavily, the relic's energy still flowing through him, steady and calm. Mara approached, her eyes wide with awe. "Captain, you did it. You actually did it." Elias smiled faintly. "We did it. Humanity did it." He looked at the relic, which shimmered softly, as if acknowledging the trial he had just endured. Xyreth stepped forward, a rare smile touching her lips. "You have passed the trials, Elias Kane. The relic recognizes your species' potential. It is not perfection it seeks. It is perseverance, adaptability, and the ability to rise even in the face of overwhelming odds. Humans are worthy." Elias felt a deep sense of accomplishment, but also a heavy responsibility. The relic had shown him glimpses of power, of knowledge, and of possibilities that could shape the future. He understood that with this gift came duty, a duty to use what he had learned wisely, to guide others, and to continue proving that humanity could endure. As night fell once more, the planet was calm, the crystalline spires reflecting the twin suns' last light. Elias stood near the relic, feeling its steady pulse, no longer a foreign force but a companion, a guide, and a mirror of his own determination. The trials had tested his mind, his character, and his humanity, and he had emerged stronger. Yet deep within him, Elias knew the journey was far from over. The relic's power was vast, and the universe was vast beyond comprehension. Challenges would come, and humanity would be tested again. But for the first time, he understood that humans were capable of rising, of enduring, and of shaping their destiny among the stars. The relic had chosen him, and in return, he had chosen humanity. The first light of the twin suns revealed the aftermath of the battle. The crystalline spires of the planet had endured, though some bore deep cracks from the energy blasts. The Varic fleet had retreated, but Elias Kane knew it was only temporary. They would return, stronger, more determined. The relic pulsed beside him, a constant reminder of the bond they now shared. "Captain," Mara said, her voice steady but filled with concern, "they'll be back. We need a plan to stop them for good." Elias nodded, feeling the relic's energy weaving subtly into his thoughts. It was no longer a foreign force, but a guide, sharpening his perception and offering possibilities he could scarcely imagine. "Then we give them something they won't expect," he said. "We use what we've learned, and what they underestimate about humans." Zyreth approached, her usual calm presence grounding him. "The relic has chosen you, Elias. It sees your ingenuity and your humanity. It is time to act with all that you have learned. But remember, your decisions must protect life, not destroy indiscriminately. That is what it values most." Elias looked out over the horizon, the dark shapes of returning Varic ships appearing as small dots in the distance. The relic pulsed warmly, almost like reassurance. He felt a surge of confidence, understanding that this was more than a battle. It was a test of human creativity and resilience. The Varic arrived sooner than expected, their fleet massive, their energy weapons charged and deadly. Elias's mind raced, calculating strategies, predicting enemy maneuvers, and using the relic's subtle guidance to anticipate their attacks. He directed Mara and the team to positions that maximized their defense while exploiting the natural terrain of the crystalline spires. As the first ships opened fire, Elias extended his hands toward the relic. Energy surged through him, forming a protective barrier that deflected the Varic's blasts. He could feel the patterns of the enemy's attack, the vulnerabilities in their formations, and the possibilities for turning their own strategies against them. The battle escalated, each moment demanding quick thinking and precise action. Elias used the relic's energy to manipulate the battlefield, redirecting blasts, creating obstacles, and even opening pathways through the crystalline structures that allowed the humans to outmaneuver the Varic. Mara followed his lead, her confidence growing as she saw his commands succeed. Zyreth watched silently, noting how Elias's human intuition combined with the relic's power to produce strategies no alien force could anticipate. "You are remarkable," she whispered, almost to herself. "The relic has not just chosen him. It has enhanced what makes humans unique, the ability to adapt, to think beyond limits, and to act with courage and creativity." Hours passed, the battle raging across the planet. Elias's mind remained sharp despite the exhaustion. Guided by the relic's energy and his own relentless determination, he noticed a pattern in the Varic's attacks and realized that their fleet was synchronized to a single command signal. With a subtle pulse through the relic, he disrupted their coordination, creating confusion among their ships. Seizing the moment, Elias directed the human team in a daring maneuver, drawing the Varic fleet into a narrow canyon of crystalline spires. Using the terrain to their advantage, they forced the Varic into a trap, their ships colliding and overloading one another's energy fields. The humans emerged unscathed, and the Varic began a chaotic retreat. Breathing heavily, Elias lowered his hands, feeling the Relic's pulse slow to a steady rhythm. The threat was over for now, but he knew the danger had not vanished entirely. The Varic would regroup, perhaps seek other relics, or find a way to challenge humanity again. Mara approached, her eyes wide with awe. "Captain, that was incredible. You used the relic like it was an extension of yourself." Elias shook his head slightly, smiling. "Not just me. Humanity did it. We think differently. We adapt. We take risks. That's why the relic chose us, not because we are perfect, but because we are capable of rising to challenges, no matter how impossible they seem." Zyreth stepped forward, her gaze softening as she looked at Elias. "The relic has made its judgment. Humans are worthy, not because they are invincible, but because they endure, they create, and they learn. You have proven that today." Elias felt a mixture of relief and responsibility. The relic had shown him powers and possibilities that could shape civilizations, but it also reminded him that with great power came the duty to protect and guide. He glanced at the relic, its surface shimmering gently, as if acknowledging their shared bond. The humans began repairs on their shuttle and the surrounding area. But Elias stayed near the relic, absorbing the lessons it had imparted. He knew this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, filled with unknown dangers, but he also knew that humanity could face them with ingenuity, courage, and resilience. As the suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the crystalline landscape, Elias turned to Zyreth. "We have a long journey ahead, but now I understand what it means to reach beyond ourselves, to rise even when everything is against us." Zyreth nodded, a rare smile on her face. "You have learned well, Elias Kane, and in doing so, you have reminded me why the universe sometimes chooses humans. They are flawed, but they never give up." The night settled over the planet, peaceful for the first time since the humans' arrival. The relic pulsed faintly, a reminder that it would continue to watch, to guide, and to challenge when necessary. Elias felt its energy not as a burden, but as a promise that humans were capable of more than they knew, and that the stars themselves were within their reach. Mara joined him, her expression calm. "Captain, what now?" Elias looked at the horizon, where distant stars gleamed with infinite possibilities. "Now we continue. We learn, we explore, and we grow. Humanity has faced its first trial, but there are many more ahead. And I know one thing for certain. We are ready." The relic shimmered once more, its light reflecting in Elias's eyes, and for the first time he felt complete understanding, not of all the universe, but of what it meant to be human, resilient, adaptive, and capable of greatness. The bond between him and the relic was no longer a test, but a partnership, a shared journey toward the unknown. As the humans prepared to leave the planet, Elias cast one last glance at the crystalline spires. The relic remained, silent yet alive, waiting for the next moment when humanity would reach for the stars. And when that time came, Elias knew that humans would rise, as they always had, undaunted, inventive, and undeniably extraordinary. The ship lifted from the planet, the twin suns dipping below the horizon, leaving the crystalline world bathed in the light of distant stars. Elias Kane, bonded to the relic and strengthened by its trials, looked forward into the galaxy with hope, determination, and the unshakable knowledge that humanity had earned its place among the stars.